Good morning, Ridvan. Here's your machine, the Breville Barista Express BES870 in black sesame. As you saw in the photos, it's in good condition. I would say it's in good used condition. Of course, being a used machine, you do have a few scratches on the front, a bit of wear and tear on the back as well. So tiny nicks, a few scratches, but nothing too bad. This is just normal for this machine. But what's important is that on the inside it works like new. I've finished doing the service last night, no problems at all. Everything is nice and solid, works normally without any leaks, any problems or funny noises. Grinder is fine, everything's fine. And in this video I'm going to make my morning latte, just to make sure for you that it works fine, and also to teach you a few tips and tricks. So when you first turn on the machine, usually it takes about a minute to reach temperature. I've had the machine for about 5 minutes. It's been on for 5 minutes, so it's ready to go now. You don't have to wait for the video. But on these machines, I would recommend warming up before making a coffee. So you want to warm up the components of the espresso process. So the boiler, the group head, the handle, and the cup. So you want these to be nice and warm before making the coffee. Otherwise, your shot will be cold. You can do that in two ways. You can either just let the machine stay on for 5, 10, 15 minutes, probably 15 minutes actually, for everything to be nice and hot. You can even leave your cups up here and they will get a bit warm as well on the tray. But if you're in a hurry and you want to get things hot really quickly, just run a blank shot. So get your cup, make sure there's no coffee in the handle, just put it like a little bit on the right. You don't have to tighten it. And just press the double button. This will give you hot water. It'll run the hot water through the components, warm them up. And as you see, it'll also clean a little bit. So a bit of brown color came out because I was doing the cleaning cycle just before. So it's good to do this just to rinse and clean everything. You can do that again, no problem with that. Yeah, you see the water is much clearer now. Get the portafilter out. Now it's really hot. Same for the cup, it's nice and warm. And if you do it again and again, if you fill the whole cup will be hot. But that's not important. I guess the bottom part of the cup where the espresso goes, you want at least that part to be hot. Okay, I'm going to dry the basket. This is the double basket. It takes 18 grams. So I'm going to dry it thoroughly with a tissue, and then I'm actually going to use my scale to measure 18 grams for you. I would recommend getting a scale just to make your coffee more consistent. Not absolutely important to make coffee on this machine, of course, but it's recommended for consistency. So I put the grind size on number 4. I think it's close enough. Just by feeling it, I think it's close to what espresso grind should be. I'll put this on 12 o'clock. This is for the M mount. So the grind dial, the grind size, on the left here will tell the machine how big or how small the particles will be. So if you make the particles very large and very coarse, the coffee will flow very quickly and you will get low pressure. If you make the particles very small and making it very fine, that's gonna give you a very high pressure and it will slow the coffee a lot. So you don't want it to be too fine or too coarse. You want it to be a good number in the middle. So I think number 4 will be close to that. The amount will tell the machine how long to grind for. Usually I'll put it on 12 o'clock and see what we get. And you can select a single or double. I like to keep it on single. So rather than putting it on double and grinding all the double quantity in one go, I like to put it on single and do it in 2 steps to prevent any mess. first dose. And we got 9.3 grams. Not bad. I'll do that again. So I'll press it with a temper, nice and firm, and do it again. So there's three things that really, or four things, let's say, four things that control how fast the coffee comes out and what pressure you're getting. Firstly, the bean age. Old, cheap beans will always give you bad pressure and low crema, or low pressure and very little crema. So it has to be fresh, so we have to make sure of that. 2, it's the temp. You want it to temp it nice and firm and even. 3 is the grind size. 3 is the grind amount. It doesn't matter yet. So 3 is the grind amount. It has to be 18 grams. So we're gonna put 18 grams using the scale just to double check. And 4 is the grind size. So if you keep the temp consistent, the amount 18 grams always, beans fresh, that's 3 things that you're keeping consistent. And the only thing that changes is the grind size. So you don't want to have too many variables and too many numbers to worry about. Just keep all of them consistent and only change the grind size. Of course, the beans will age over time, so you may notice that you open a bag of beans, you get good pressure, and then a month later you're getting bad pressure if you're using the exact same bag of beans. So you have to keep that in mind, that the pressure will slightly drop over the weeks of having the same bag of beans used. That's 18.1 grams. I'm happy with that. So this is what it looks like before pressing it, and then I'm going to press it with the tamper. Very nice. So you'll notice this is the depth that the coffee goes to. So Breville put this as a nice little trick. So the depth of the silver part is the depth that you should be at. So we've got 18 grams. We press it down nice and firm, and the tamper goes this deep as the silver part. So if I stop seeing the silver part, then I know I have the correct dose. It's flat with the edge of the basket. Make sure it's nice and flat, make sure it's not wonky or has any gaps. And then clean the edges before you lock it in. All the way to the right. And now we're ready to make the coffee. After all that talking. You can get rid of your hot water now, of course. And if you like to use syrups, sugar or sweetener, add it now before the espresso. You also have hot water tap. You can use this for long black coffees. You can use it to warm up your cups. I use it to add a little bit of hot water to my cup to help the sugar mix. I almost added soap to my coffee. Oh my god. Sugar, not soap. So 1, 2, 3. So the hot water helps it mix with the espresso. So I like to use that hot water feature. You can also get hot water from the group head if you don't have the handle on, but sometimes you get a bit of coffee grounds and discoloration from the coffee. So this way is cleaner. I'm going to reset my scale again because we want to measure the output. We also want to keep the output consistent so that the taste and the flavors are consistent. Input was 18 grams. We want to double the input of 18 into 36 grams for the output. So a 2-to-1 ratio. So every gram we get from the machine, we want to double it. So I'll aim for about 35 to 40 grams in 30 seconds. So okay, that's a few more variables that I mentioned now. With output, you want to keep it consistent because the machine has programmable buttons. It will almost always give you the same amount. So if you program it for 36 grams, it will give you around 35, 37. So not very variable there. But what's variable is the speed. So you control the four things that I mentioned: grind size, grind amount, bean freshness, and temp. And the output is what you get. So you'll get the pressure, you'll get the time for the shot. So you want the time to be around 25 seconds for the double shot. So 25 seconds from pressing the double button, you want to get 36 grams in about 25 seconds. And you change that speed by changing the grind size. If you remember, we talked about going finer will make it slower, going coarser or larger particles will make it quicker. So if it's too quick, we'll make it finer. If it's too slow, we'll make it coarser. But we don't change anything else. We don't change the input, the output, the temp, etc., etc. Okay. Hopefully it's not too complicated. In the end, it's not about the numbers, it's about the taste. So whatever you do that makes the taste good for you, keep doing that. But for me, I'll just teach you how to do the basics. So to program the machine, you press the program, then the button you want to program, you want to program the double. So I'll press that one. And I'm going to time it as well. With the pressure, you want the pressure to be around between 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Anyway in the grey zone is okay, but I think the ideal is around 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. You want the pressure to be nice and smooth, consistent on both sides. Not coming out in drops very slowly, but also not coming out very quickly like a river gushing out of the spouts. That's 1 o'clock pressure, and it looks like it's coming out in drops, very slow. So that's telling me my grind size of 4 is too fine. So what I'd do next, I would maybe pause it now, put it on grind 6, from 4 to 6, to increase the grind size, to make the coffee flow quicker. So I'll start grinding to change the grind size, because now we change the grind size, the machine still has a bit of the old grind size in it, so a little bit. So we'll grind for 2 seconds to get rid of the old grind size. And please, if you're going down in grind size, don't change the grind size with the machine not grinding. You don't want the blades or the burst to like squeeze on each other. So only change it down with the grinder grinding. But going up in grind size, it's fine. So if you go to a larger grind size, it's fine to do it with the machine not grinding. But if you want to have the grind size finer, only do it when the grinder is grinding. It's just to prevent any damage to your machine's mechanism. Okay, that's gonna be it. If I let that go, that would be a very bitter coffee, because it's very over-pressurized, over-extracted, very slow to come out. So that's because the grind size is too fine. So we'll knock out the coffee, dry out the pour filter. Now with the grind size of, if you remember, grind size of 6 now we're using, it'll be a bit larger particles, it'll make the coffee flow a bit quicker. So I'm gonna use the same settings and see what we get. So 12 o'clock and single. First one we got 9.5. So okay, I'm going to go back to 11 o'clock. We want it to be closer to 9 grams. There we go, that's 9 grams. Press it down. Hopefully another 9 grams, let's see. Yeah, that's exactly 9 grams. Perfect. So keep it on 11 o'clock, grind size number 6. That's the settings we'll be using now for the second attempt. Spread it around with your finger. I forgot to mention this, but yeah, you want to spread it around with your finger before pressing it, so that when you're pressing it, you're not making it concentrated in the middle where you have like this little mountain in the middle. You want it to be even so that the pressures are even when you press it down. just like before. Make sure it's nice and flat. Press with even pressure all around. And same as before, the depth of the tamper is around the silver part because we have the correct quantity. Clean the edges and lock it in. Quite easy. So I'm just going to flush because I made a coffee just before and the grip head is a bit dirty. It's all good. Lock it in. So we're going to do the same. Reset the scale, program. And then start the timer. Oh, that's much better. You can see the flow coming out at around 7 seconds. Very good pressure at 12 o'clock. Very smooth flow, and we have a lot of crema. So that's about 25 seconds right there. That's exactly 25 seconds. Hopefully we got the correct amount of coffee. We'll just double check. Wait for it to finish dripping. We got, okay, a bit more, so about 45 grams. Still okay. That means if we stopped at 20 seconds, we would have gotten about 40, maybe 30, 35 grams. Yeah, so next time you make a coffee, try the settings now. I would call that more of a 2.5 to 1 ratio, not a 2 to 1 ratio. But it looked good. And if you tasted it, it probably tastes okay as well. That's pretty good, yeah. If you wanted to, you can always go back to the settings and recalibrate the buttons for yourself. It's quite easy. And if you wanted to reset to factory, just hold program until the machine beeps. And after it beeps, it resets to factory settings. Very important, you want to clean the machine after. Get your portafilter out. Knock it nice into the knock box and give it a flush. There we go. And also grab a tissue every now and then. It would be good to clean the grip head as well. Sometimes there's a bit of coffee oils or coffee grounds stuck in the shower screen and in the rubber seal, so it's good to clean that occasionally. Maybe every day, every other day, as part of your cleaning routine. Also, every 3 months, change the water filter to keep the machine nice and fresh on the inside. And that's about it. Yeah, the machine will remind you when to do the cleaning cycle. It will remind you when to empty the dripping tray. It's very easy to use. Next is the milk steaming. So turn on the steamer. It will take about 10 seconds for the boiler to heat up and reach steam temperature. I'm gonna fill my jug with about halfway with the cold milk. I'm using full cream milk. Very powerful steam, and it doesn't take too long to start the steam. But when you turn it off, you have about 5 seconds before it resets and goes back to espresso mode. So turn it off, and within 5 seconds, get your milk jug positioned in the correct way. And keep the wand at an angle, close to the surface of the milk, and close to the edge of the jug. So, to spin the milk, you want it to be spinning And you want the tip to be close to the surface so that you inject air as you spin the milk. And when the milk starts becoming warm, just raise the jug. Stop injecting air. You don't want to inject too much air, otherwise it will be a very bubbly, very frothy texture for the milk. And when it's too hot to touch, just turn it off. That's usually about 60 degrees for most people. And then give it a purge before you let it cool down. Just a purge to get rid of any milk on the inside, and then grab a wet towel, wipe that one straight away. But for now, I'm going to pour the milk. That's the machine cooling down back to espresso mode. When the buttons light up, that means you're ready to make another coffee. It's a very nice espresso. And very nice milk. Just knock it on the counter to break any air bubbles, and then swirl it around to mix it up. Keep doing this until the surface is nice and glossy, nice and smooth, like wet paint, if you've ever seen wet paint before. Yeah, that looks very, very nice. Definitely looking forward to that coffee. You can do latte art. I don't usually do any decent latte art, but you can if you practice. It's very, very possible on these machines, just like any other manual coffee machine. I'm sure you'll enjoy the machine. If you have any questions or concerns or issues, please don't hesitate in messaging me. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later tonight. Thanks, man.